Hey you guys, I am back. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another episode of this Piscean Reports. I was just sitting here debating on whether or not I wanted to make this video. I feel like it absolutely needs to be made. Like, it's high time. Actually, I think it's past high time, if you ask me, that it been made. But for those of you new to my channel, welcome aboard. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. Let me pause this a second. I just realized my window is open. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I just realized I made a video before this one and the AC was on, and I'm hoping that it wasn't so loud that you guys couldn't hear what I said. I sure do not want to have to do it again. But anyway, so back to this video. I'm gonna start it with this. So I want to say up front, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not. However, I will say this though. If I have learned nothing else in life, is that sometimes things happen for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. And having said that, I want to say this. First, let me say this. I think that it is time that we, in America, handed the police their jewels back. And I say that because I saw recently where they just acting a damn fool out there in DC, just acting a damn fool. And the president did have to step in and then say, enact some military and things like that to try to get things back under control. And I wonder, had there been a Democrat in the office and those things happened, would they have done that? And I feel like they probably wouldn't have. And I want to say this, that for a long time, and I agree. I can't believe, I never thought I would be someone who would be sitting up here saying this, but at the same time, truth is truth. For a long time, there has been energies that have just straight been allowed to just straight run amok in this country. And things are kind of messy right now, and I think this is why I say sometimes, everything happens for a reason. And then you get someone in office and I think that, that person may be there to then try to say, okay, it's time to get things back in order. Like this is ridiculous how the country, how things are happening, how things are being allowed to happen, and just the craziness is just getting out of hand, and I think, which is why I say we need to get back to giving the police their jewels. Okay, I don't know how many of you guys have looked at videos online where they'll pull someone over, or they coming up on somebody who's coming out of a store from stealing, and they're trying, and they're trying to be polite, and they're trying to reason with these people and trying to talk to them, and these people is straight disrespecting the police. In essence, they're disrespecting authority. And I think that is the problem that we have in this country. We do not respect authority anymore. Okay? I feel like the country is the mentality is kind of childish almost. Like we want to do what we want to do. We want to do it now, and we're going to do this and this and the other thing and the other thing, and just consequences be damned, and it's ridiculous. Before, because of what happened back with what is that young man's name who with the police, and he died, and what is his name? I wasn't even planning on making this video off the top of my head, and I probably will redo it, but the young man who died, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, and because of that, there have been significant changes. One which I applaud, and I think, and first of all, I will say this: I think every every police department needs those camcorders, those camera thingies that they have now, okay? Because that then takes the pressure off the police, because before it was this person's word against yours, and sometimes because there was no camera, they were allowed to get a little out of hand and be a little violent and a little forceful and what have you. And so because of that, things have kind of changed, and now instead of going in and being allowed to do your job, they're going in and they're pacifying thieves, and you're pacifying just criminals and bad behavior. A perfect example of that, and this is why I said I wish I had the reaction. I knew how to do all of that, where I could just put the video up and say, this is a perfect example. That young man, black dude, who put up a video and said, this is America, and he made it seem like he was just innocently sitting in his car, and those police, they just banged in his window and they grabbed him and they beat him up and they were so mean to him, and then you know what I mean, and basically spinning a narrative that absolutely was not true. Okay, and he literally forced that police department's hand, and they had to say, okay, this is why we need to stop believing everything you see on the internet. Stop allowing these people to spin these ridiculous narratives like, we're just so violent and vicious and brutal, and the police showed video, and in reality what happened was that young man completely disrespected the police. His door was wide open, he didn't have his seatbelt on. They said, he said, why are you stopping me, and why are you pulling up, and he just popping off at the mouth at the police and hanging all out the car. And they said, we need you to step out of the car, we need you to step out of the car. And he wasn't doing it. He was like, he was being ugly, he was being nasty, he was being disrespectful to the police. You know what I mean? They said that they pulled him over because he wasn't wearing his seatbelt, and I forget the other reason. And so, he basically was disrespecting him in every way you could, and he slammed the door, and they said, please open the door, open the door, open the door. First of all, the police should not have to do that. Okay, this is why I think that we need to now adopt this policy. You got one time to comply, and if you don't comply, everything that happens after that is your fault. Okay, and this is why I said we need to start handing the police their jewels back, because this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. There's so many videos where they would say, put your hands behind your back, and they swinging on the police and trying to fight them and kicking them and spitting at them and doing all this stuff. And like I said so many times, where they will say, please step out of the car, but why? But step out of the car, but why? But step out of the car. What's your badge number? Step out of the car. What's this? What's that? They shouldn't have to put up with none of that. It should be one thing: step out of the car. You don't step out of the car, everything that happens after that is your fault. Okay, and that is what, and in that video, as a matter of fact, in that video, when he closes the door, is you look at the video, now he has his seatbelt on, and now he's got this look on his face like, I'm just sitting here, I'm just, minding my business, and then bang, here comes the thing. What he didn't show you all is the police saying, we're gonna bust the window open, and he just sat there, and so bang, and it looked like they just was straight abusing him and the whole nine, and he had the nerve after that to come and stand up. He was getting ready to do it too. He was getting ready to spin that narrative. He was up at a podium, and he's got what look like either his parents or his pastor, or he got a whole flock of people right behind him, and he was damn sure getting ready to spin that narrative. Okay, but the police, thank the Lord, because of those cameras, had said, okay, here we go. We need to stop listening and believing everything you see on the internet. And you saw the truth. Him disrespecting the police, him popping off at the mouth, him not complying to what they said, and then everything that happened after that truly was his fault. And this is what I'm saying. We need to get back to that. We got cameras now, okay? So there's no reason for you to have to placate, no reason for you to have to coddle, no reason for you to have to pacify and baby the criminal. When you walk up to them and you say, put your hands behind your back, and they say, well, what for? And what did I do? And I'm not doing. First of all, police need to know that anytime somebody starts, firing off around the questions, what they're doing in their mind is saying, let me see, do I want to run left or do I want to run right? Do I want to run? Do I want to fight the cops? Do I want to jump in the car? Do I want to pull out a weapon? Do I want to just speed off? When they're firing off stuff at the police, mindless, and the police is trying to explain, because I've seen a lot of videos where the police are like, this is why we are stopping you, this is what we're, and before they can even say that, they're going, what, why are you doing that, and this and the other thing, and blah blah blah, and da da da, and what's your badge number, and this and the other thing, and they acting a goddamn fool and everything. That's what I'm saying. That's ridiculous. The police should not have to deal with that. They should come up to you and say politely, we need you put your hands behind your back. And that is where this is why I said respect authority. Okay, respect authority. They say put your hands behind your back, put your hands behind your back. Once they get you handcuffed, you can ask whatever you want. What's this all about? Well, this is what we're saying. These people are saying this, that, and the other thing. Okay? But they don't do that, and then all of that firing off and the disrespect and all that wears on our police officers. All of this is ridiculous. They shouldn't have to put up with none of it. Okay, that's why I said we need to start giving them it's time. This time, okay, it's time to get back to respect and authority. Sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. Sorry, you guys. Do I want to? Anyway, I'll call it right back. So like I said, it's just time. We just need to get back to that. They should not. They have enough to worry about without having to deal with all of that. Okay, we need to. It's time to respect. That respect is not given. It's not. You know what I mean? And we need to get back to just, this is what we're saying to you. You got one time to comply. And then if you don't, anything that happens after that is your fault. Okay? I get so sick of watching these videos and they're spitting at the police and they're kicking the doors and they're hitting them and the whole nine. And then when they try to arrest them, I'm pregnant, I'm this, I'm that, and coming up with these excuses. Why are you touching me? You shouldn't touch her, and this and the other thing, and the whole nine, and coming up with all these. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's time. We need to get back to that. Respect and authority. Giving them the space and the grace to do their jobs. We got cameras now. There's no reason for you to have to question. Okay? They should be allowed to do their jobs. Absolutely. And that is just something that I feel. It's time that we get back to letting them do their jobs. They got cameras. We've got proof of anything that happens. And just get back to, the country is just out of control. People are just out of control, and it's time to start reminding people, what time it really is. This is why I say, I might not have been a fan of our current president, but I gotta say, it's time that I told you guys that shift is on, and it's time to stop. Everything that's happened and gone on before is just it's out of hand. It's ridiculous. It's not necessary. It's just, we got to get back to making the country safe again. And it starts with allowing the police to do their jobs. Is there anything else I want to say about that? And it's just to see, it's ugly. It's ugly. These people have enough to worry about. They put their lives on the line every day. And so they have to deal with pacifying and worrying about losing their job and all that. It's time to stop. It's time to stop. Give them the right to do their jobs again. They have the cameras now. Everybody sees everything, so nothing's a surprise. I think it's just time. And I think that people will say something like, well, you don't know what it's like, and the police are this, that, and the other thing. I have been stopped before. I debate on whether or not I should say that. I have been stopped by the police before. And I absolutely complied, because here's the thing. At that time, I was in the wrong. My license had expired, but I let some idiot talk me into taking them to work. And even though I knew, and what was weird is the car that I was driving, they said that there was something wrong with the plates. That was the only reason why I got pulled over, not because of something I did, but because I got pulled over, because there was something wrong with the plates. It was my brother's car. And when I saw those lights, it was, what are you gonna do? You're in the wrong. If you're in the wrong, you're in the wrong. And I pulled over. They asked me, I rolled the window down. They asked me for my ID. I had no other choice but to give them my expired license. And they said, okay. They ran, and okay, step out of the car. I stepped out of the car. Put your hands behind your back. I put the hands behind my back. I said, after he had handcuffed me, I said, do you mind if I turn the car off? He said, we'll turn the car off. And they were so polite. That's the crazy part. They were very polite, because I didn't talk shit. I didn't, you know what I mean? I gave them their respect. I gave these people, I'm in the wrong. I'm in the wrong. And I own that, And I said, well, can you mind if I turn the car off before you guys put the handcuffs? He said, that's okay, we'll do it. And he put the handcuffs on me, and he escorted me to the back of the seat. And he said, we're going to park your car over here. I said, it's my brother's car. And he said, okay, we'll park it over there, and you could tell him later on that it's there, and he could go get it. And I said, okay. You see what I'm saying? It was no need for fighting, asking for a badge, putting up, a bunch of bullshit. I didn't think to outrun the cops. I didn't think to, none of that. I was in the wrong, and I own that. And because of that, I didn't experience any abuse, because I know that's what people think, that when, as soon as a lot of black people think you see the police and, oh, it's time to run, and they gonna hurt you and they gonna beat you. He was very respectful. And it was a white officer, and he was like, and to be so nice to say, we're gonna park your car. It was kind of in the way of the lanes, and he said, I tell you what, we're gonna put your car over there. It was a strip mall, and he said, we're gonna park your car over there, and then you could tell your brother where it is, and he could go and get it. And I said, okay, and he did that. No need for drama, no need for disrespect, no need for any of that. And this is what I'm saying, that whole theory that the police are out to get you, and they're going to beat you, and they're going to kill you, and the whole nine, none of that happened. None of it. If you just respect authority, they will go out of their way to do whatever needs to be done. If you're in the wrong, you're in the wrong. It's time to own that. That's what adults do. They own their, you messed up, it's time to own that, That's what I did. So, anyway, I'm going to leave. I guess I can't think of anything more to say than just to say that it's time that we start giving them their respect, allowing them to do their jobs. You got one time to comply. Anything that happens after that is your fault. It's time to start learning that, to respect authority in this country again. It's time to get back to that. Not every cop is out there wanting to kill you or do you in or all this other kind of stuff, or abuse you or beat you, or none of that. Most of the time in those videos, those people are 9-10 times in the wrong. They were the ones who stole. They were the ones who didn't have their seatbelt on, or they didn't have this, or they didn't have that, or they were going too fast, and they just needed to own it. It just need to own it. And instead of owning it, they choose to fight and disrespect and spin ridiculous narratives in an attempt to make them look bad in the media. It's ridiculous. Enough is enough. That's the video. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it there. I hope you guys liked it. I don't know how many are. I think those who clearly are in the wrong may have something to say, something negative to say. Those who obey the law will say you're absolutely right. It's time to start giving these police officers the right to do their job. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and go. I guess I will see you guys next time on the next video. You have a great evening. Talk to you later. Bye.